the Algebra lesson 3-6, solving equations by multiplying and dividing decimals. Now, recall in lesson 2-6 that we solved integer equations involving multiplication and division. We can use the same properties here. Remember, we have to keep that teeter-totter balance, so whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. Now, since you cannot use calculators, it is important that you understand how to multiply and divide decimal numbers. So let's do a quick review here. If I'm going to multiply decimal numbers, you multiply the numbers as if they were whole numbers. All right, so let's take a look at the following problem. 32.45, 8.62. Do not line up decimal points with multiplying or dividing. Don't worry about it. Deal with the decimal points later. Just multiply as if they were whole numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply just like they were whole numbers. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? Now I'm going to do the 6. 6 times 5 is 30, carry my 3. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27, carry my 2. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14, carry my 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Now I have 2 placeholders I have to do. You can put zeros in. I like to put x's in. I don't put y, just to have it in mind. 8 times 5 is 40, carry my 4. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36, carry my 3. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19, carry my 1. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Okay. Now I have to add all these together. 0, 9, 74 is 11, 64 is 10, plus 6 is 16, plus 1 is 17. 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. 5 and 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and that's 2. Now I need to feel, okay, I've multiplied the numbers as if they were whole numbers. Now count the number of digits behind the decimal points in the factors. There are 2 behind the decimal point here, and 2 behind the decimal point here, which means there needs to be 4 behind the decimal point here. So from the back, count back 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do this with an interesting color. Let's do this with normal. We count back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. My decimal point should go between my 9 and my 7. So it should be 279.719. 279.719. I can leave the 0 on the end, or I don't have to have the 0 on the end. I just make sure the product has the same number of decimal places behind it as the factor does. So if you look at it, if you want to make sure it has those 4 decimal points, then you can leave that 0 in there so you know that you have that 4 decimal places. This should be review. You should have done this back in 5th grade, and then again in 6th grade, and for some of you in 7th grade. Alright, so now we're going to divide. The first thing you have to do is you have to set the problem up properly. Know which number goes outside, which number goes inside. If I did 7 divided by 4.1, 4.1 is on the outside, 7 is on the inside. Okay? So make sure how to set your problem up properly. Then we have to make the divisor a whole number by clearing the decimal point. Okay? So if you look at this problem right here, we have the following problem. We have 2.3 dividing into 1.15. In other words, 1.15 divided by 2.3. I need to make 2.3 a whole number by multiplying it by 10, which means I need to multiply this number by 10. So now instead of 2.3 dividing into 1.15, I have 23 dividing into 11.5. And I actually, most of the time, prefer to write my number again. Then bring your decimal point straight up. And once you've done that, bring your decimal point straight up. And now divide as usual. 23 will not go into 11, so I'll put a 0 there. 23 goes into 115. Well, think of 20 going into 100. That would go 5 times. So I'm thinking 23 will go into 115 about 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15, carry by 1. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And there we have it. We have 25 as my answer. Knowing these simple rules will help you be able to solve equations that involve multiplying and dividing decimals. So let's take a look at some problems. Here we have number 1. Negative 37.5 is equal to c divided by negative 12. So to solve this, I have to get rid of the negative 12. Since they divided, I'm going to multiply. A going to show this off to the side for 7.5. 12, since they're both negative, I know my answers are going to be positive, so I'm just going to leave the negative signs off. Times 10, times 14, times 7, times 5, times 7, times 3. 1. So I need to have 1 here, so it's 250. Okay. So C is equal to 450. Got it. Number 2, 0.85x is equal to negative 1.6. Since they, I'm going to change this problem to 0.8x. Let's just change this problem. 0.8x is equal to negative 1.6. The other one wouldn't work out very nicely. It would be a really ugly number. All right, to solve for this, I'm going to divide by 0.8. Okay. And these will cancel out, leaving you with x. Now, if you cannot remember, this is negative 1.6 divided by 0.8. So the 0.8 is on the outside. Okay, so the 0.8 is on the outside, the negative 1.6 is on the inside. Move the decimal, 8 is going into 16 twice, and it's negative. Number 3 here, 81.81 is equal to 0.9n. Divide by 0.9 because they multiply by 0.9. N equals, so 0.9 goes into 81.81. Move the decimal, So it's now 9 into 818.1. I guess we'll come straight up. 9 does not go into 8, but it goes into 81 9 times. 9 cannot go into 8. It goes into 81 9 times. So it's going to be 90.9. The process stays the same. So now you're just working with decimals versus just working with positive and negative whole numbers. Now you have decimals versus whole numbers. Number 4, r divided by negative 6 is equal to 0.5. So when we solve for this, you have to multiply by negative 6. Multiply by negative 6. So these will cancel, leaving you with r. So 0.5 times 6, 6 times 5 is 30. You need to have one with decimal behind it, and it should be negative. Negative 3.0 or just negative 3 volts. Number 5, negative 80 equals t divided by 4.5. Solve for this, multiply by 4.5 here. Multiply by 4.5 here. These two will cancel, leaving me with t. Okay, 80 times 4.5. So it should be 360, and it should be negative because this number is negative right here. So the biggest thing you have to remember is your rules for decimals, and make sure you pay attention to your positive and negative signs. Now we can also do word problems. Let's say you paid $7.70 in the mail package that weighed 5.51 pounds. Write and solve an equation, find the cost per pound. Okay, here we go, cost per pound. So I'm going to let C equal the cost per pound. Okay? My total cost equals my cost per pound times the weight. Okay, so total cost equals cost per pound multiplied by the weight. Okay. My total cost was $7.70. That's even though it's going to be equal to my cost per pound, which is C, times the weight of my object, which is 5.51 pounds. So here's my equation, 7.7 equals C times 5.5. That should be 5.5, not 5.5. There you go, 5.5 pounds. So, to solve this, I'm going to divide by 5.5. I'll leave the 0 off because I really don't need to have it on there. So C will equal, okay, 5.5 dividing into 7.70. Move the decimal once, move the decimal here, so it's 55 dividing into 77.0. 55 will go into 77 one time. 22 left over. Bring down my 0. I got something right there. 55 goes into 220. Well, 5 goes into 24 times. I'm thinking we'll go into 220 about 4 times. There we have it. So my cost, C equals 1.4. So my cost is $1.40 per pound. There we have it. We defined our variable, we wrote our equation, we solved our equation, and then we wrote it as a complete sentence. Take a look at our second word problem here. Suppose your batting average is .222. You've batted 54 times. How many hits do you have? Okay. Just in case you didn't know, batting average equals number of hits divided by number of attempts. Okay, number of hits divided by number of at-bats. Okay? So I need to know how many hits I have. That's what I'm asked to find. So I'm going to let H equal to my number of total hits. So H equals my total hits. So my batting average is .222. So if I follow this formula, 0.222 equals my total number of hits, which is H, times the total number of at-bats, which is 54, because it says I batted 54 times. Okay, so there's my equation. To solve my equation, I'm going to multiply both sides by 54. So I'm going to have 0.222 times 54. 4.8, 4.8, 4.8, 5 plus 2 is 10, carry over 1, 5 plus 10 plus 1 is 11, 5 plus 10 plus 1 is 11, 8, 8, 9, 1, 3 digits, 4 digits, 3 digits. So it's going to be 11.988. Since I can't have H equals 11.988. But now we have to actually answer this in a real-life scenario. Can I actually have 11.988 hits? Not really. Okay? You either have a hit or you don't have a hit in baseball. There's nothing, like you don't have a hit. You don't say, oh, it wasn't this, have a hit. No. Okay? You either have a hit or you don't have a hit. So with this real-life scenario, we should round this up to 12 hits. Okay? So in other words, he has 12 total hits. Okay. So in the complete sentence, you have 12 hits. There you go. Solved your equation, interpreted it into the real world situation that you live in, and you have an answer. So solving equations by multiplying and dividing decimals. Same process as if multiplying and dividing, like solving equations with integers. The only difference is you have to pay attention to your decimals now.